Let's get it.
I don't think Robyn's ever lived plural marriage, honestly.
And for me, I think Christine is 100% right. As we sit here and talk about how Robyn is coming to the family and she basically manipulated and she clawed her way to the top of the heap, when rubber meets the road, I think that we're kind of overlooking the idea that, as Christine has very succinctly put it, Robyn did not come into the family, join the family, and destroy the family. Robyn is essentially the homewrecker. Robyn has always moved from being the mistress to the wife. She wasn't the mistress and the girlfriend and some of the wives, and she was mixed in with the group. She's always been separate. If you look at how her relationship with Kody started, she was in Montana. Kody would drive 5 hours away from his OG3 wives to Montana to hang out with Robyn for the weekend. And he would do this while his third wife, Christine, was pregnant with their last child, Truly. He had no problem with leaving his pregnant wife at home so he could go hang out with his girlfriend. This is not him looking for an additional wife or a polygamous wife. This is him going to hang out with his side chick. Guys have been doing this forever. This is not new. And it's always funny to me that the polygamists always say this is a polyg thing. This isn't not new to polygamy. Monogamous dudes do this too. They just happen to call them dirtbags and dogs. That's the only difference. In polygamy, they call him a husband. In a monogamous relationship, he would have been a dirtbag. That's the only difference, is what you call them, and whether it's accepted or not. Because in most monogamous relationships, this type of behavior wouldn't have been accepted. Even in a polygamous relationship, I don't think that, and maybe this is me giving the polygamous groups a lot more credit than they possibly deserve. I don't know. But in my machinations and in my imagination, I don't think that polygamy groups who are successful with polygamy would stand by this type of behavior. Because no matter how you try to cut it, Kody does the exact stereotype that everybody assumes that a polygamist would do. In this video, what I'm going to talk about isn't just how Robyn is the mistress and she beat him and she destroyed the family because she's a homewrecker. That would be easy to do. And I'm probably going to do a little bit of it, just in fairness. But I also want to talk about, just from my perspective, when we look at like the possibility of, having that girl at work and maybe, that relationship would be amazing and she's so much different than our wives and the women that we have at home. The truth of the matter is that this is kind of that more of an example of that. This is the type of relationships you can expect to have when you have that extramarital affair and the mistress or side chick actually wins. Now, before I get into it, I would simply ask that if you guys are enjoying my content, you think you might like my content, or you think you might like the video, don't hesitate to give me that thumbs up. It lets me know that you guys are enjoying what I'm doing, and I should keep doing it. Also, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? It's easy to do. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, and you would have helped the channel out. You helped me out. And hey, who doesn't want to help a brother out? So go ahead, give me that HBO special, which stands for Help a Brother Out Special, by clicking that subscribe button and ringing the bell for notifications. And you will be notified when I upload new videos just like this. And when I go live, hopefully very soon, you get to join in and give me your take and we get to have that conversation. All right, let's get it. Now, when I talk about people coming into these situations, let's take a look at the typical or general affair, side piece, side chick, taste of strange, moving out, getting a little honey dip, whatever situation. When you're having this type of affair, typically those relationships are a lot easier than maintaining your relationship at home. Why are they easier? Because it's like a girlfriend on vacation. When you go on vacation, you don't have problems. When you're married and you have issues, especially you have children with your wife, and in Kody's case, he had 3 marriages, theoretically, as well as children with all these women. When he has that, He goes home, he might hear issues with him not being around, or Kody, we have this bill to pay. Kody, we not gonna make that bill. Kody, we gotta figure out how we gotta get all the kids and wrangle them up and get them to take baths and showers before they cut the water off. Kody, we got to figure out what we're going to do with the meat that we have in the freezers before they turn the electricity off. How we going to pay our taxes? What are we going to do about the PTA meetings? We have a parent-teacher conference coming up. Kody, what are the things that we going to do? Little Gabe is talking back to me. What can we do about that? Logan is, he's hanging out with this girl down the street and I don't like how she looking at him. What we going to do about that? Kody has all kinds of problems when he shows up to his wife's house. His house, really, and him and his family's house. It's a family house. When he shows up to those homes, he has all kinds of problems. As even described by Robyn, when he shows up to her house, she makes it a stress-free environment. That's what the side chick does. Because the side chick, she makes it sound as though, and here's the funny part about it, a side chick will try to make it sound as though, oh, I don't want him to be stressed when he come over here. I want him to relax and stuff. That's not what it is. See, a side chick understands that if a man who is stepping out on his family comes over to your house and he has to deal with problems over there with you, then he's not going to come over there no more. Because the whole purpose of me having a side chick is so I don't have to deal with the problems at home. It's a vacation. That's the whole purpose of it. That's why you have an outside girlfriend or outside boyfriend or whatever. You're not dealing with the problems that you have at the house. That's the whole purpose of it. So when she describes it as, I try to make it as stress-free as possible, I tell the kids to leave them alone and don't bother them. That's what he wants at home. So when he talks about, I wish my other kids' moms would do the same thing, and I wish they would learn from how Robyn is doing and running her house, and they will run their houses just like that. Basically what he's saying, or what I'm hearing, is that he wants to be able to go over to Janelle's house and not have to worry about the boys, and if the boys are getting on his nerves, Janelle is ready to put the boys out. Go over to Christine's house. I don't want to have to talk about the problems or whether I'm hanging out with Robyn too much or what I'm doing with Robyn and how often I'm over there. I just want you to come in, make me something to eat, then go away and let me do what I want to do. And if I want to come up and see you and lay with you, then I'll do that. If I don't, I don't. And I don't want you to ask me no questions. He wants to have that freedom of choice. And that's not a productive relationship for anybody involved. And that's what makes it ridiculous. And then even with the idea that, the OG3 struggle. Yeah. You see, there's a difference between when you have a wife. And this is one of the fallacies that a lot of folks fall into, especially as they start to try to step out on the people whom they came up with. When you have a wife or you have a husband, and when you first started out with them, you struggle with that person. You didn't have a place to stay. In the case of the sister wives, we'll use them as an example. When Janelle, Kody, Meri, and Christine first started out, there was a time when the three of them lived in a trailer home, a 3-bedroom trailer home all together. And that's how they started. And from there, they worked themselves up to be able to get the house in Lehigh where they met Robyn. And then they were able to later move themselves into a better situation. And they struggled. And because they struggled with each other, they learned to depend on each other. Part of the downside to that is that in Kody's mind, when you have somebody who is extremely egocentrical, they look at themselves and they don't like to see themselves as a struggle person. They don't like to see themselves as that poorer person, the person who didn't have. The problem that he has with Janelle, Meri, Christine is that they talked to him and they treated him like they struggled with him. When he was going home and he was trying to figure out bills, they were sitting up at night with him trying to figure out how to pay those bills and get their heads together, and people trying to figure out extra hours they can get, extra jobs they can get, if they can do some gig work and possibly put that money together so that they can cover a couple more bills so they can make it to the next month. They have that memory and they treat him that way. They treat him almost as though he was what? An equal? Oh, goodness gracious, God forbid. They treated him like he was a partner. Oh, we can't have that. See, when he looks at those ladies, and the contrary part of that is when he looks at those ladies are a reminder to him of the man that he was, the man that he despised. Because Kody, he ain't afraid of nothing but poverty. And these ladies remind him of the time when he suffered from poverty and he lived in poverty. And when he gets with Robyn, and this is the trick, this is where a lot of dudes fall off and they make this mistake. And I'm doing it from a man's perspective because there are women who do the same thing, and I will give you that. Problem is that when you have this situation, there are guys who get caught up because they fall for the booty trap. I call it the booty trap. Could be the booby trap, depending on what you like. Me, I'm the booty trap because, it's like seafood and lobsters. All the best meat is in the tail. But you get in that situation, right? You get in that situation and you find yourself in that booty trap where you are dealing with a woman who knows you for where you are. So as you have a lot of things now, you have the nice house, you have the good, that good car, you have the good fat bank account, you're going on vacations, you wear the fine clothes and the fine duds, you seem like you have your whole life together. And when she talks to you and deals with you, she's dealing with you from respect of that place. The problem is that she's not willing to struggle with you. She's not a builder, she's a spender. So when you're dealing with somebody like that, a lot of guys fall into the trap because they think in their mind that when they see that younger, fitter, maybe what they would consider to be more pretty or more attractive version of their wife, because, one female is just as good as another female, so why can't I just swap them out? They don't understand it is never one-to-one, because that young lady, and this is a comment that I've said throughout my commentary on Sister Wives, if Kody ever found himself in a situation where his money starts to go down, he's going to lose Robyn. He's going to lose Robyn because Robyn has never been with struggle Kody. When Robyn came into the family, she came into the family carrying debt. A lot of debt. She had 3 kids. She was working. She had a little job and she was working. Then when Kody comes into the family, he brings his family and his family income with him. All of a sudden, Robyn is renting houses. Robyn moved from Montana down to Utah. They rented her a house around the corner by herself. And he was paying for that house for her. When they left Utah and she had to leave that rental house that they got for Robyn around the corner from the Lehigh house where he had his wives and he had his girlfriend living around the corner, up around the corner, his mistress. When they moved from there, they moved to Vegas. What they do? They took them all with them. They moved them to a big vacation house. Then from that big vacation house, he moved her to a 3,000 square foot home in Las Vegas that he was renting for her, still not working. Then he was able to get her a brand new house. I'm sorry, he didn't get her a brand new house or buy her a brand new house. He had a house built for her. So this whole time she's been coming up. She's never known struggle Kody. When they left Las Vegas, what did she do? She went and rented a 6,000 square foot house. That's in all fairness, in some places, that's considered a mansion, a legit mansion. Between 6,000 and 8,000 square feet is considered a mansion. He rented her a mansion. And then he bought her a 4-acre house, a 4,400 square foot house on top of 4 acres, 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. What are you talking about? She's doing well. So she's not used to struggling with him. And this is one of the downsides. If you ever hit a rough spot, your money come up short. You can't go to her and talk. The OG3, you can sit down and have the conversation with him. Baby, you don't understand. Oh, I just lost my job. Oh, baby, you don't understand. The money just got cut back. I don't know what we're going to do. All right, honey, let's just sit at this table. We're going to work it out between the 3 of us or 4 of us, in a monogamous relationship. Me and you going to work it out, baby. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get it done. And if we have to step down, we will step down and we will do what we have to do, but we're going to get through this and we're going to rise above it. You try to have that conversation with your side chick. Baby, you don't understand. Yeah, that car I just got you. Yeah, we gonna have to take that back, baby. Baby, yeah, I just got you in that big house. You gonna have to move up out of that big house. Hello? Hello? That's how that's going to go. And one of my favorite things from Robyn is the side chick. And again, as I look at her from a perspective of the side chick, some of the stuff she says just makes sense. Let's listen to this one comment she had to say during the tell-all.
Why are you looking at my orange? You have an apple. You know, it's not better. It's just different.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, what are you, Fruit of the Loom? Oh, don't look at my fruit. I got an apple, you got an orange. Like, both of those are fruit, though. And it's not apples to oranges, lady. This is like apples to bricks. In this situation, Robyn is complaining that they're looking at my house, my mini mansion, and they're trying to say that it's just different. Yeah, because they're living in a trailer. Janelle was living in a trailer. So yeah, it's different. She's not going to be excited about living in a trailer and you living in a mini mansion. Oh yeah, great. We just have different stuff. It's the same though. What are you talking about? And you're trying to treat everybody like, and what it comes down to, and this is the part that kind of tripped me out a little bit because it seems like she's unaware. But the truth of the matter is that as the mistress, she doesn't have the understanding to understand. She expects more because she's always received more. As the mistress and as a side chick, you've always received special treatment. And you've always gotten that A+ attention that you're used to getting. You're used to being right there where the guy comes in and he's looking at you and he's like, oh, girl, oh, you so special, you so beautiful, you so wonderful. Anything you want, just let me know and I'm going to get it for you because I am your hero. I'm the guy who's going to provide for you. I get to be the man with you. With the OG3, you don't get that. It's you figure it out for yourself. Because we struggle together and they take advantage of the fact or take them for granted in a sense that they're supposed to struggle and that's what they're supposed to do. They're not going to leave because they've always been with me and this is what they need to do in order for me to be able to make my lady happy. And that's the position that Kody is taking. And this is all folly. This is where a lot of folks make their mistakes. It's very difficult for you to think that you're going to have somebody like you're going to have somebody like Christine, Meri, or Janelle. If Kody got sick and he went through that whole COVID stuff and he called them up and said, look, girl, I'm not feeling good. Oh, my goodness, come help me. And they would come there and they would help him when their relationship was good. They would sit there with him all day and spoon feed him soup and get him stuff to drink, the whole nine. They would do all that stuff for him. But if he ever found himself in a situation where his money is going down. All of a sudden, he got to take back the car that he got Robyn, or he got to tell Robyn that, yeah, baby, in order for us to be able to make it next month, we're going to have to sell this house and we're going to have to get something smaller. And let that brother sneeze. Could you hand me those tissues? I ain't handing you nothing. I'm going to hand you a job application, sucker. Get up out of my face. And that's just the difference in how they deal with it. Now, one of the things that kind of struck me, especially in a relationship, as we do these comparisons, let's listen to Christine describe the type of thing that she wanted from Kody and what she expected from him and his response to it.
He's amazing, super dad, helping Robyn. He immediately started helping Robyn with everything as soon as she came in the family.
Back in the house in Lehi, Utah, I was working 60 hours a week. Christine was asking for things that plural marriage didn't really afford women generally, and those were certainly not things that Robyn ever got.
And that's hilarious. The fact that he said, yeah, there's some things that plural marriage doesn't afford. You know, like me paying attention to my kids. That's something that I can't afford to do. You are not that much of trouble, bruh. You are not that much trouble. Oh, I can't afford to come home and check on my kids to make sure that they're okay, they're alive and they're breathing. That's too much. That's too much. Then stop having children. That's the whole thing. Like, you should only add on or get more or add addition to if you can handle what you have. This is kind of like when you were a kid and your parents would say, look, you can take as much as you want, but you got to eat all you take. Don't sit there and say, "Oh, my stomach is full. Let me go get up and get thirds and fourths. Let me get another piece of this, or another cut of that." No, eat what's on your plate first before you get up and come and get more. Make sure you can handle what you already have, because everybody's eyes get too big. And that's kind of the thing too, is that when you're dealing with these types of relationships, they never take into account that they can't handle the types of relationships that they have. If you look at Kody's family structure, he never should have started this whole polygamy thing because he was never suited for it. And his family build out was all wrong. You want women who are going to be dependent on you, like you want a bunch of Robyns, but at the same time, you need a bunch of OG3s who are going to help to supply you with the money so that you can at least take care of your Robyn. So you can't have 4 Robyns and think that you're going to have 4 women who are going to treat you and do you like Robyn does you, when you don't have the money to be able to provide for those 4 women the way you provide for Robyn, because you have 3 women who are providing for you and Robyn. You have 3 women who are taking care of your family. So there's that. And then when you start to get into the whole idea of, well, where does Robyn fall into this? Again, she's approaching it as though she's above the situation. Her expectation for the family and for the family's resources was ridiculous. So let's take a listen to why Robyn did make demands upon Kody.
Parenting is never easy in plural marriage. Kody's gone 3/4 of the time. And that's why I had childcare help, because I can't ask Kody for that kind of help. He's got too much on his plate.
See, Robyn had too much to do, so that's why she had asked for help. That's why she had a nanny, because, you know, it's hard when you search in Amazon for you to have to actually deal with your children. And her whole idea, Kody had too much on his plate. Well, Kody should have sat his ass down. Instead, his eyes was too big for his stomach. You know, he should have been a little more mindful. One of the sins is, gluttony. Like when you try to take more than you need or you deserve, like, he's being gluttonous. He's just taking on wives just to be taking on wives. He's having kids just because he can. That's not a superpower. I would say that to anybody. I would say that with a guy who has 3 children, but he don't pay attention to none of them. You know, having babies is not a superpower. It's not something that you just have to go out and show and prove that you can do. Ta-da! Look, I had a kid. That's not a thing. You have children that you can afford to take care of, that you have time to take care of. If you don't have time to do it right, don't do it. And that kind of goes into the whole idea of, how do you treat these people? What's the difference in the treatment? Because we can talk all day about how the OG3 have provided for Kody, how they've looked out for Kody, how they supported Kody, both financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically, so on and so forth. How they did it for so many years and how they were there for so many years. But the truth of the matter is, Robyn, she has an idea. And her idea is this.
In my marriage, I'm gonna treat this person like my best customer. And I'm not gonna apologize for it anymore. I'm tired of feeling bad that I have a good relationship with Kody when other people don't. That's on them. They need to figure that out.
That's awesome. The fact that she defines her relationship as a transactional relationship, I think that's very telling in and of itself. When she gives Kody this great customer service, you know, because she's the pencil box salesperson, and when she's, you know, Kody brings his pencil over there and she sharpens it for him and puts it in a pencil box, she understands that there's a transaction. So I give him this, and what does he give her in return? He gives her that preferential treatment. That's what she gets in return. What's ironic to me is that she's so angry about it. What are you mad about? You're mad at the fact that you wrecked these women's lives, you wrecked their situation, and you are upset that they're upset that you did that you participated in that. I don't like to blame Robyn for everything. I understand that a lot of folks hold her out as like kind of the puppeteer and the mastermind and the manipulator. I think she is manipulative. I think she does control Kody to an extent, but the truth of the matter is she couldn't control Kody unless Kody let her control him. She can't do anything with Kody or have Kody do anything for her that Kody doesn't decide for himself that he wants to do. And I don't want to let him off the hook for that. So, I mean, you have that baked into the cake. And that's kind of where it is. And then even when you talk about like her being angry about, you know, how the family is breaking down and how everything is turning out and how much she suffered. Let's listen to what her perspective is as to how she wound up with Kody.
They handed him to me and said, we don't want to spend time with him, basically. Here, you have him all the time.
And that's crazy in itself.
They handed him to me. It's a defense to me because they just handed him to me. I came in, I stole him, and I did all kinds of wild stuff with him. I did the 1, 2, 3 trick. I jumped off the dresser, spun off the fan, and for some reason he just kept coming around. He was like a cat. You don't feed cats out on your porch. Because you never get rid of them. So she fed him the cat, and then all of a sudden, this dude just kept coming around. And now she's mad at the other women because they just handed him to me because he doesn't want to never go home. Yeah, because when he comes over your house, he's on vacation, and he found a way that he can stay on perpetual vacation forever. And as things started to get tighter for the other women, then all of a sudden, it turned into a case where he's like, well, I don't want to go over there because they always mad at me because apparently they're sitting there suffering because they don't like living in trailers. They don't like me coming around just basically giving them minimum attention. They don't like me not spending time with their kids. Imagine that. So I'm going to go ahead and hang out with Robyn. They handed him to me. This is the equivalent, because this is how Robyn designed her house, but this is the equivalent of you using this as a bank robbing defense. Like if you go into a bank and you rob a bank and then the cops catch you and be like, hey, you gotta let me go. I went into the bank. Yeah, I asked for the money, but they handed it to me. You're going to jail. You're guilty. You did it. You're just getting what you got because this is what you asked for. And that's the crazy part too, is that when you look at it, the destruction of the family, him being forced to stay at Robyn's house, Robyn being miserable because he's at her house. These are all things that they thought they wanted. She thought it would be better if Kody came over and stayed at the house more because he could be more involved with the kids and he could help out more. The problem is Kody get over to the house. Cody's not trying to help you with your kids. Cody's not trying to be that guy. He wants to be the cutesy guy. Like, and I've seen this before, and I'm sure we've all seen this at some point in time where you have a guy or a young lady who has a child, and all they do is when they come in and they see the child, they play around with the child, get the child all worked up, and as soon as the child starts jumping around and acting crazy, they say, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and let him go because he acting too wild for me. I'm going to go ahead into the bedroom. I'm going to go upstairs, downstairs to my garage. I'm going to go to my secret place, and I'm going to hide away for the next 3-4 hours before I got to go to bed and then leave again in the morning for work. And that's what they do perpetually. And she could find herself in that situation, and all of a sudden she's being frustrated out because she's having to deal with the actual real Kody, not the fake vacation Kody, not the come over to relax Kody. She has to deal with the day-to-day Kody, which is part of the problem. When you have these people who are cheating with these folks, they don't realize that the person that you're going to be dealing with is the day-to-day person. When you go on vacation, you meet somebody and you hang out for like a week, 2 weeks, or however long you're on vacation. That's the best relationship in the world. Nobody go to vacation broke, so you have money in your pocket. You have a nice place to stay 9 times out of 10. You have a really nice place to stay. Your travel is taken care of. You have fun stuff that you want to do. Nobody goes there talking about, oh, I got bills to pay. You go there to have a good time. You go there to relax. When Kody was going over to hang out with the side chick when she was in the side chick position, he was just going over there to hang out and relax. That was his relax spot. That was not his living spot. And now that's where she finds him, and she doesn't like that Kody. And this is where a lot of guys, like I've seen that before, where guys will leave their wives to leave their family. They go and move in with the mistress or the side chick thinking she's the bee's knees. They're there for maybe a month to a year to 2-3 years, maybe even marry that person. Then not long after they get married and they're there for a substantial amount of time, then all of a sudden the good times are gone. She's in the same position that his wife was in, because as it turns out, when you live with somebody, they're concerned about the bills that you're paying, and more to the point, the bills you can't afford to pay. They're concerned about the things you can't do and the things you doing, the things you should be doing. And it's a different dynamic to the relationship. Now, when we talk about that,
there's also, and throughout this whole thing, there's always like a position of hierarchy that Robyn tries to display. Like, oh, I'm telling these women that Kody is such a great guy, and I'm going to appeal to the audience members by telling them these things. This is why these women hate you, Robyn, because of the stuff you say. Let's take a listen to one of the things that I thought was the most obnoxious thing she could have possibly said. I'm like, does she even know what she's talking about? This would be something I would expect a guy to say. Let's take a listen.
I saw that when there's stretch marks and there's weight gain and there's like stagnant, you're being stagnant in the marriage, or there's fights or there's money problems or whatever it is, he still had this romance going with each of them. I saw it.
I saw it. I did. I saw it. He loved them regardless of the fact that there was weight gain. They were fat as hell and they had stretch marks looking like Tony the Tiger. He loved them anyway. So when they had arguments, what were they arguing over? They were probably arguing because all his money was going to Robyn. So they were arguing because he was giving me all their money. And they were upset. They had the nerve to be upset because their kids weren't eating. I mean, food is like, whatever. You don't need it every day. And then, of course, like the idea that, they put on weight and they had stretch marks. For what, Kody getting them pregnant? Yeah. This is your fault too. You participated in it. You contributed to it. Are you serious? That's like you going to a restaurant, ordering a bunch of food, a bunch of drinks, and then when the tab comes, you thought, I can't believe it's this high. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens, dude. This is life. You're not 12 anymore. You're not 15 in high school. All of a sudden, your girlfriend's got to have the perfect lines and the perfect body with the perfect this and the perfect that. And 9 times out of 10, as an old dude, you look at that and be like, when you're in high school, you have a perfect body. But if you can ever recall what happened in high school, nobody is satisfied with their body in high school. Unless they're psychopathic. Nobody's like, I got the greatest figure ever. That's like maybe a minimum of people. I don't even think that exists. But the point is that she's upset because these women don't appreciate the fact that Kody could suffer through loving them anyway. And this is something that you usually find in situations like with the side chick, that because she has a few years younger than the OG3 or the wife or the proper woman that he's with, that all of a sudden these women aren't taking care of themselves. They letting themselves go. Not realizing that time is in fact a cruel mistress. Time does things to your body and your temperament and in your metabolism that you can't outwork time. I don't care how many times you go to the gym. Time is a very hard thing to turn back. You could have your plastic surgeon on speed dial. You could spend 24/7 in the gym. You could be taking all the protein shakes, protein powders, the pre-workout, post-workout. You could be doing all that stuff. Creatine, all the whole 9. But time will eventually catch up to you. And if you're making life decisions like having children, your body might not snap back, especially when you have multiple children. You don't have the time to go and do the yoga and sit in a sauna so your skin can get tight again. You don't have time for that. Well, I guess Robyn do because she had a nanny. And then when you look at the whole thing of, her giving her perspective on it, this is the perspective of the preferred woman, the kept woman. This is the kept woman's perspective. Even now, let's listen to her talk about how the women did not accept Kody and how it's their fault. Everything that happens is their fault, by the way. Kody doesn't have any part to this.
He's a loving person. He's a loving husband. And what you're seeing is years of people not taking care of their relationships. Mm-hmm. He's had wives reject him, affection-wise.
Really?
Because they are uncomfortable or they don't like it. That's not who they are. I'm sorry, but if you're rejecting someone's affection, your spouse, I don't see how that's going to help your relationship.
So if you act like a person who has an autonomous will that decides that they don't want to do something with their body or they do not want something to happen to their body at a particular time, then you must not want a relationship. Who are you to be a whole person? This is what's kind of scary. The fact that she has a daughter. She has, 3 daughters. And this is your message? If your husband wants some, come home and he wants some, you have to give it to him any way he wants, anytime he wants, anywhere he wants, because that's your man. And if you want your relationship to work, this is what you should do. This is what you would hear in the manosphere. Shut up and make me a sandwich. Shut up, make me a sandwich, and provide special attention. This is a manosphere talking point. And as most manosphere conversations go, they don't teach you how to maintain and keep a relationship. They don't tell you how to get women and how to keep a woman. Most of the guys in the manosphere are liars, grifters, or they've never been in relationships. They have no idea what a relationship looks like. They get their relationship advice from like men's magazines and dirty magazines that you will buy with the paper bag on them. Like that's the relationship quality that you get from a lot of these groups, because in most of these situations, it's always in service of somebody. You're always looking to take care of the man and the man's needs. So when it comes to years of rejection, I guess the customer's always right. Gotta treat him like your best customer. The problem is that this is a marriage, not a service job. Okay? You get married, that doesn't entitle you to anything. They still maintain their autonomy. They can say no if they choose to say no. What I find is that if you really want to have relations on a consistent basis, you want it to be wild and crazy, you have to make that mental connection in order for you to be able to do that. You can't just expect them to do it because of the status of your relationship. We are married now, so you must give me this. When Kody was sitting there saying that Janelle wanted to build a house and he's not going to break his back to help her out because she's not respecting him, and I didn't hear Robyn come out and say, well, it's your duty as a husband to make sure that your wife is provided for. That's your duty. That's what you promised and swore to do. No, she didn't come out and make that excuse. So at the same time, you can't make the counter argument that she's got to be there to aim to please him at every turn that he decides that he wants to come home and do something. You just have to be ready to, have a pot pan and a mop in your hand and decide to either cook, clean, or do whatever attention specification that he wants at the time. You have to always be willing, able, and ready to do that regardless of what else you have going on. That takes responsibility from him. She's constantly always making excuses for him because that's what the side chick do. Because in her mind, she doesn't understand what it's like to actually be in a relationship with somebody where you have to work in that relationship. Everything in that relationship she's always been given. So she never had to work for anything. So just like anybody who has never worked for anything, they don't appreciate crap. And it's always, oh, well, you can just come in and they should be willing to do whatever you want, however you want, wherever you want, whenever you want, because that's your wife. No. If you want your wife, and this is something that I say to any dude, if you want your wife to do those things, those special things that you like, you have to do the things that are necessary to make her want to do those special things. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. Put her in the mood. You want to have relations, you got to make sure she relaxed. If she's stressed the hell out all the time, she's not going to feel like doing a whole bunch of stuff. And it's not necessarily because she hates you. It's just that her mind is on something else. So if you want her mind to be on you, you got to make sure that her mind has space to be on you. And that's what you need to do. You got to relax her. You got to take that time. Don't lose romance in your relationships, in your time. Just because, we go out a couple times a month or we go out once a week. Where do you go? What do? You just go eat a meal, sit there, stare at each other. You eat your food, she eat her food. And because you went out on a date, all of a sudden that's your seduction? Is it something that you guys are trying to make that constant connection? Because again, when you're in these types of relationships, you always have to remember that every day is a choice. Every day you spend with each other is a choice. Just because you were with each other last week, last month, or last 50 years, it doesn't make a difference. Tomorrow is a choice. Tomorrow might be the day they wake up, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of struggling with this dude. I'm tired of sitting here. He go out, he don't never come home. And the craziest thing to me is the fact that when Meri catfished him and he was talking about she was leaving me for another richer dude, yeah. Because I remember back in the day there was a song, Who's making love to your old lady while you was out making love? So when you out there hanging out with Robyn, talking about Robyn's the bee's knees, and you paying her all attention, and you get to sit in your house in the cul-de-sac and look out the window and see Kody bebopping his head, go bouncing up and down, and hair floating along, and he's carrying a bouquet of flowers when he go to Robyn's house, and then when he come over your house, he don't bring nothing but problems and a bag of laundry. Yeah, you gonna have problems. I'm surprised all his wives wasn't cheating on him. Are you crazy? Surprised everybody wasn't stepping out. He come back to the cul-de-sac, ain't nothing but strange calls up in there. Who the hell is all these folks? Here's the last video, and I think that this describes the expectation of Robyn and her kids when they came into the family.
It's just another example of them not wanting to be a family with us. It's been like this from the beginning.
And that's insane. First of all, it's been like this from the beginning. It's just another example. If you were getting all these examples and you care so much about your kids and your kids were being rejected and this was a place that you weren't welcome, then you should have never joined this family. You should have never joined this family. If you felt like you were struggling this whole time and you've been rejected this whole time, why the hell would you put your kids in a situation where they're going to be rejected on a daily basis and you got to sit there and explain to them that they shouldn't deserve to be rejected and they innocent and this, that, and other? You're the one who victimized them. If that's the case, you did it, Robyn. You did it. You don't never put your kids in a situation where they're going to be rejected by somebody. I don't care how good Kody and her got along and how much he came over there and you can put your pencil in my box anytime. All that, to hell with that. To hell with that. And as much as she sits there and complains about we feel like we was always outsiders, you weren't the outsiders. You're the outhouse. You full of shit. Okay? You should have made sure that this situation was safe for your kids before you put your kids in that situation. Hello. You should have made sure that this situation was good. And these women were solid before you brought them in and told these kids to call these people their mothers. You should have made sure it was solid. So you don't get a whole lot of room with me as far as it goes with you complaining about how they've always been. Because if they were always that way, you should have made sure that you were looking out for the best interest of your family, and meaning your kids and you. You don't get involved with situations like this. And again, it trips me out that she's coming in so high and mighty about all the things these other women should have did, all the observations as far as the stuff they should have known and how they should have treated their husband and all the things they should have done. But when it came to your behavior and things that you're culpable in, all of a sudden is I had no idea. You can't be an expert in all relationships when it comes to other people's relationships and you conduct your relationships like a dumbass. Sorry, dude. That's just not how it works. You have to make sure that if you're in this type of situation and you're looking at stepping out on your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, I would simply ask that when you look at that and you see how the Brown family situation turned out, Robyn is not hated but just because she's a homewrecker. Robyn represents that home wrecking mentality, that mistress mentality, the side chick mentality. Because when she comes into the relationship, because she's always received preferential treatment, she expects preferential treatment moving forward. Because he's always considered her first, her feelings, her emotions, her kids first, she expects that her kids should be held to a higher standard and put on a higher plateau and put above everybody else. People should consider her kids before they consider anybody else's kids. People should put her in a 6,000 square foot house rental when Janelle is living in a damn trailer. And that's the expectation. She expects everybody to take care of her. The same way, in her mind, and this is messed up, but in her mind, Kody puts her on a pedestal, and because she's higher than Kody, and Kody is higher than these women because the OG3 reporting to Kody and he's over them, then what she expects is all four of them, Kody, the OG3, to take care of her and her children and her kids' needs. And the problem, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, when you're dealing with these types of situations, It's not, when you switch your wife out or your loved one, your paramour out, and I will say wife just to make it easier. But as a man, if I switch my wife out for some woman that I meet, I am not getting one-to-one. I am getting a different person. I'm not getting the same thing. I'm not getting the apples and the oranges. I'm getting a different person. And if you have a woman who is willing to sacrifice with you, struggle with you, and build with you, that's a keeper. That's a keeper. Because if you build the world and then you turn around and lose the world, she'll be right by your side to help you rebuild it and figure it out. And so you can build it back again and build it stronger. But if you go trade her in for somebody who likes living in this new world that you built with your old wife, when that world comes to an end, so does your relationship with that woman. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life